Qualcomm announced yesterday the next version of the Snapdragon chip, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which a bunch of different things going on. There was a lot of numbers thrown at you, a lot of nanometers, a lot of millimeter waves and and Wi-Fi 7s and everything like that. So I wanted to cut through all that jargon and kind of just understand what that means for us, the cell phone consumer who just wants a better product for 2023. And there's a few different things. I'm going to talk about four of them and briefly mention a fifth, the takeaways that I had from the presentation and the news stories that I saw. The first one is power efficiency. You saw it on almost every slide that they had. You saw it on the slides for the chip itself. You saw it on the slides for the GPU. The Adreno this year is going to have, I think, 45% power efficiency improvements over last year's model, and then the chip itself is going to have a 40% power efficiency improvement over last year, and all that stuff's important. It's great that they finally heard us at Qualcomm, or people just finally said enough with the overheating, enough with the bottlenecking, enough with the issues that you have with these chips. Yeah, the power is cool. We love having the power to do all this stuff, even though a lot of it we don't use. But we'd like to have the flagship level power efficiency and battery life that goes along with that. We're spending $1,000, $1,200 on these devices. It would be nice if they lasted the entire day. So it seems that Qualcomm has heard us. The Generation 2 is going to be a lot about power efficiency and making sure that we get the battery life we deserve. And this helps a lot of different devices. I know everyone, a lot of people on this channel, myself included, are going to have our eyes to that S23 Ultra that should be using this, at least here in the United States and in Korea. But there's a lot of other devices. The OnePlus 11 is going to have it. Your favorite Vivo devices, Sony devices, Motorola flagships next year will have it. So it'll be nice that we finally have a year, possibly, where battery life on flagships takes a center stage. 5G improvements was a big thing that I saw as well. The modem. It seems like they finally reworked the modem. Qualcomm has redone it where the 5G modem, it can handle 2 5G signals at once, and that's all fine. And some 5G AI stuff to help with processing, which we'll talk about in a moment when we get to images. But the big thing that I hope, at least the takeaway that I saw, is that reworked modem, figuring out 5G, and that to me means figuring out the battery drain that comes with 5G. Figuring out, they say they improve signal and improve connectivity. That's great. To me, that means those border areas, hopefully they won't be as much of a problem. Hopefully switching between 4G LTE and 5G won't be such an issue. Hopefully the searching for 5G signals, or if you're in one of those border areas, isn't as much of a drain. Because I could tell you, the days of saving an hour and getting an hour of screen on time back should be over by just when you're turning off 5G. Those days should be over. We should be able to leave 5G on. They've had the technology rolled out enough now that they should be able to figure it out and get us the power efficiency on the modem side to make sure things go well. One of the other big things that stood out to me, and I care nothing about mobile gaming. We're going to have that review on Friday of a mobile controller, which actually I like. It actually kind of got me into some of these games, but I hate playing on the screen. Some of these games don't interest me, but ray tracing in the Adreno this year, that caught my attention. Ray tracing is what you get on the RTX chips, of basically the graphics cards that have been sold out for a year and basically scalped for 3 or 4 times their value. That's what that is. Those RTX 3090 chips, now the RTX 4090 graphics cards that you put in your PC, that's when you're talking about ray tracing. They could do stuff with the Unreal Engine now. The games are going to look incredible. The games are going to get borderline look like console, high-end PC games. That's what we're talking about power-wise with both the Snapdragon and now the Adreno GPU in there. That caught my attention. And basically the ray tracing deals with the lighting. And you can look it up on YouTube if you type in ray tracing and see some of the high-end lighting effects that they're able to pull off now. That's some realistic stuff. The games are going to look, they're going to be shocking. I'm telling you, next year, if the developers are, and it's going to take some time, just like with the new console, they're not going to get the most out of it right away. But as time goes on with these ray tracing chips now, that they're going to have GPUs in your phone, you're going to see developers come up with some absolute bangers when it comes to games. And that's going to be something that finally might get my attention game-wise and would be quite cool. And the last thing is imaging processing. You could do 8K video at 60 frames a second. Wow, that's great. Okay, fine. If you want to do that, if you want to take up 4 gigabytes a second or whatever the actual data would be for that. But the cool thing is the AI enhancement stuff with photos. You can really kick it into overdrive, whatever company it happens to be, whether it's Sony, Samsung, mostly looking at them with their computational photography, really do some cool stuff, pull stuff from 5G. There's some stuff that they want to do. There was the 5G networking or awareness or neural something or whatever it is that they're going to start pulling real-time information down in order to do the processing on these devices for the images, but they're also going to be doing a lot in hardware on the fly with editing images for photos and video, which are going to be provide a lot of enhancements. You're going to have the entire color palette, 10-bit HDR, all that stuff on the fly, which is quite cool that they can handle both the bandwidth for that with the 5G, but also just on device, on processing, being able to do that. And if you could do that and keep the heating down and give us power efficiency and have all this stuff, you're walking around with a computer, with a pretty high-end computer. And they're saying they could kind of compete with the Apple stuff. We'll see. You know, Apple always seems to pull ahead with that stuff with their own silicon as well. We'll see if Snapdragon has anything for them this year. It's one of the years where I'm actually kind of excited for a couple of the enhancements. There's some spatial audio stuff. They did some stuff with music. You get lossless, I think, 48K music and stuff like that now as well, which is going to sound great on those devices. Geez, maybe a device or two could give us a headphone jack so we can enjoy it. Well, we don't have to listen to it through Bluetooth. And you could do dual channel Bluetooth as well. There's a bunch of cool stuff that they can have that if developers really sink their teeth into, you're going to be able to take advantage of. But the main takeaways for me, power efficiencies across the board, ray tracing, which is pretty cool. Hopefully they've solved the modem issues with 5G, so we don't have that horrible battery drain on 5G. We can actually leave our 5G on our Samsung devices, the S23 Ultra, for next year. And then, of course, the photo and video stuff that you're going to be able to do on device. All of it really cool. We'll see how it is in practice. Of course, it's going to be up to developers. It's going to be up to the individual manufacturers, how they integrate all this stuff. If it's done well, we're going to have some really cool devices next year. If it's done poorly, well, it could be like the last couple of years where the devices aren't so good. Listen, the S23 Ultra has a chance to blow the S22 Ultra and a lot of the other competition out of the water. Hopefully they do it. This gives me a little bit more hope that they might be able to. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have the delicious day.